I never practice long tones, and I virtually never have in all my 37 years as a saxophonist. What? This is some pretty disturbing saxophone heresy, right? Or is it? What if you didn't have to sit in your practice room staring at tonal energy smiley face for hours a week to improve your tone? Well, if your curiosity's piqued and you're interested in getting a better sound than before, whilst freeing up more time, keep watching, my friend, and make sure you take the Coda for this video because I've got some really important caveats about practicing long tones at the end. Without further ado, here's 3 problems with practicing long tones that I want to bring to your attention, as well as the all-important antidotes to those problems. We're going to get straight into it, but before you start trolling me in the comments for breaking an immutable law of saxophone practice, just remember that my own tone is one of my biggest assets in the pro sax world, and my Total Tone Mastery course is one of the most comprehensive, well-researched and well-respected programs on saxophone sound production out there. So whether you agree with me or not, just know there's a lot of substance under the hood in today's free saxophone lesson. Then again, you might just think I'm talking bollocks. So let's get into it and we'll find out, shall we? All right, point 1, you embed what you practice. We can agree on that, right? When you practice something over and over, you get better at being able to consistently reproduce it. If your sax sound is totally dialed in, great, you can stop watching this video right now. But if your tone is kind of weak at the moment, have you ever stopped to consider that it might not be the best idea to spend countless hours getting better and better at producing that weak sound? I know that might sound counterintuitive, but if you're breathing, voicing and embouchure suck, and you're not actively trying to change anything fundamental, the only thing your long tones practice is doing is cementing that faulty technique into your muscle memory and ensuring that every time you put the horn in your mouth, you consistently recreate that flawed sound. Like I said, you embed what you practice. So, through your current long tones practice, you might be getting better and better at making a bad sound. Later on, we'll look at some more resources to tackle the fundamental issues of sound production, so I've got you covered. Now, point 2, a great tone starts with relaxation, not tension. Through marathon long tone sessions, you'll definitely feel the burn in your chops, and you might be thinking, awesome, my embouchure is like steel. The problem is, as your embouchure gets more tired, it gets tighter and tighter, and your sound will get thinner and thinner as you inexorably clamp up on the reed. If you're not careful, this will become your new normal, and your brain thinks that's how your embouchure should be. You don't want chops like steel, you want chops like fluffy balls of cotton. The first thing I always have to do with my students is decondition them from playing with such a vice-like embouchure. The heart and soul of every awesome saxophone sound is relaxation and freeing up the reed to vibrate fully and produce a rich, full spectrum of frequencies. I know I've demoed this a million times before, but here's a tight embouchure sound. That produces a muffled, thin, quiet sound, and here is a loose embouchure. That produces a full, rich sound with a lower pitch. And yes, you will have to push your mouthpiece on to get in tune if you're new to this approach. If you're always practicing with a tense, chomping embouchure, another 5 hours of long tones isn't going to make it any better, I'm afraid. You need to stop the marathon long note sessions and instead work on dropping your jaw and doing less practice, but more loosey-goosey. Hey, real quick, you can get a bunch of what you're learning today and a lot more besides in my free Saxophone Success Masterclass. Just use the link that you can see there or click the link in the description and you'll get instant free access to a whole hour of me dropping the kind of knowledge bombs that'll instantly change the game with your sax playing. Okay, back to the third and final point now, which is the definition of insanity. One famous definition of insanity, often misattributed to Einstein, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I mean, clinically, it's a pretty terrible definition of insanity, but as a teaching tool, it serves its purpose wonderfully. In a nutshell, what it means is it's bonkers to keep doing something to get a certain result, awesome sax sound in this case, when it's obviously not working. I can't tell you how many times I've asked a keen student about their practice habits and my jaw drops, well, hopefully only in my mind, as I try and reconcile what I'm hearing with the amount of hours a week they practice long tones for. It's staggering how people can be so dedicated and consistent with a practice technique that so obviously isn't working. And it's not just me saying that. They say they're dissatisfied with their tone. And this is despite something like 5 hours plus a week of long tones. At what point do you say, do you know what? Everyone says practice long tones to get a better sound, but I'm not sure this is working for me. Let me answer that hypothetical question for you. Now. Now is the moment I'm giving you permission to question this immutable law of saxophone practice and open your mind to some other options. Okay, so let's say you take my word for it. If long tones aren't the golden ticket, what are these other options then, Jamie? A fair question, and that's exactly what we're going to look at now. Hey, just before we get to the solution and the all-important Coda, can I ask a really quick and easy favour? Thousands of you who watch this channel aren't subscribed, so if you're not, can you just hit subscribe right now? Go ahead. Carpe diem right now. It'll cost you nothing, but it'll help me reach more keen saxophonists like you, and through that small act of kindness, the cosmos will reward you with a perfect read straight out of the box. Thanks so much. Right, so if you're not practicing long tones, how do you get a better sound? Number one, you need to work on the correct mechanics of sound production. I already mentioned my flagship program, Total Tone Mastery, but next week I'm actually opening a brand new free masterclass series called the Dream Tone Formula, where I'll walk you through some of the most important aspects of tone production and show you how to eliminate all your bad habits and create a full, consistent singing sax sound. The link is there and you can sign up now. It's gonna be absolutely awesome and I'm super hyped about it. In the meantime though, here's a lightning summary of how to get the most out of your sax tone. So first, you need to drop the pressure off the reed. If you squeeze up, you close the tip opening of the reed and you restrict the vibration of the reed. Then you have to have your mouth like you're gormlessly watching TV. That's your embouchure. It's the do nothing embouchure. Sometimes I tell people to think of it like a goldfish. So you think in at the sides and forward, in and forward, not a smile. This will naturally push your bottom lip out, like that. Don't curl your bottom lip fully over your teeth. It sounds bad and it hurts. Then use a lot of air. To begin with, blow as hard as you can. You can always back it off later. Okay, now, just blow out your neck and mouthpiece and really try and straighten out the neck with your breath. The secret is to do as little as possible and let that reed vibrate as fully as you can. There's a lot more to this story, of course, especially with voicing, but I haven't got time to cover it all today. You can find links in the description and they'll all be in the Dream Tone Formula series that I mentioned, which is coming next week. So make sure you sign up for free right now. So one more time, here's the typical clarinet style, biting, lip curled over your teeth embouchure. And here's the relaxed, loose, lip out saxophone embouchure with real strong breath support. Got it? Awesome. Literally, This alone can do more for your tone than a year of long tones if your sound production is flawed. But here's the next solution, number 2. Instead of practicing long tones, practice overtones instead. Specifically, my overtones tone matching mothership exercise. You'll find a link for my full video on that in the description. But before I tell you why to do this instead of long tones, here's a brief demo in case you don't know what I'm talking about. But why do this instead of traditional long tones? 2 big reasons. Number 1, you're working on your voicing. That's how you organize the physiology of your vocal tract. That's the key to your best ever sax sound. And number 2, by using the long tube overtone fingerings like low B flat, you're giving yourself a clear goal of what the biggest, fullest sound is for that pitch. And you're constantly adjusting and striving to recreate that tone with the standard short tube fingering. That instant feedback is the magic that transforms your sound. And for the record, with a bit of practice, you can do this whole exercise in just 5 minutes. Believe me, I've timed it. That's how I developed my trademark tone, not staring at a tuning meter, holding traditional long tones for hours on end. And by the way, developing more flexible voicing will mean you can correct your intonation on a dime without staring at the tuner all day. Because newsflash, you can't hold long notes with a tuner on a gig. It all happens much too fast. Now, my third and final alternative to long tones practice is actually transcription. You can do way more for your sound by taking all that time you spend holding long tones and instead transcribe some inspirational players. But why? Because when you model and shadow a great player, you subconsciously take on the qualities of their playing, including their tone. The devil's in the detail on this one though. Instead of just approximating your goal solo, you really have to spend a lot of time trying to sound exactly like them. And I mean exactly. You've got to close your eyes and become that player. I often use this example from Total Tone Mastery, but here's me shadowing Hank Mobley on Miles's version of Old Folks to demonstrate what I mean. I'm on the left channel, Hank on the right, and you should hardly be able to tell the two apart if it's done right. So that's your 3 solutions. Improve your sound production mechanics, practice tone matching overtones, and transcribe. But what about this coda that I promised? Well, the coda is really a disclaimer of sorts. In a modern world of short attention spans, I'm giving you something memorable to shake you up and maybe trigger a breakthrough. I mean, it's YouTube, it's got to be a catchy message, but it is still an important one. And look, I've explained why I never practice long tones. It's not clickbait, but I'm a reasonably intelligent guy and I've been around the sun enough times to know that, of course, there are situations where long tones practice can have positive benefits. For example, if you're a complete beginner, it'll help condition your embouchure enough to keep the note steady and stop wobbles and trembles. If you're a more advanced player with good mechanics and you can already make a good sound, you can refine that tone and develop enough embouchure conditioning to stop your embouchure getting fatigued and tight on a long gig. You can also incorporate long tones in a myriad of ways intervallically to develop evenness and flexibility. Man, you could even just use long tones with a drone as a form of meditation. So, for all you pros out there who are silently cursing me as I incite a rebellion against an immutable pillar of saxophone pedagogy, and All you weekend warriors who might be tempted to take to the comments in indignation, look, I do know that long tones have their place, okay? My argument is that far too many people blindly do them for no benefit whilst missing the big picture and the alternative opportunities for more effective methods of sound development. Capiche? Anyway, I really appreciate you watching, and remember to sign up for my brand new series, The Dream Tone Formula. Go and check out the Inner Circle, where there's an incredible community of saxophonists and a bunch of really cool bonus content. And if you want to know more about getting a good sound, why not watch my video called The Only Sax Lesson You'll Ever Need Next, where you'll learn how to voice instead of bite. It's a really important video, and you can click on it on the next screen. See you there, and remember to practice hard, practice smart, and enjoy your music. Itchy nose. Didn't even put my phone on silent.